about your dad a little bit. What do you remember most about your dad?
My father?
Your father.
He took me to church every Sunday to 9 o'clock Mass when I was in grade school. And he took me to Charles and St. Paul and 28th Street and dropped me off to walk over 1 block to Seton High School. It took me 4 years in transportation. And my father walked me to school every day of the school year.
What was your father's name?
Henry Christian Rix.
Henry Christian. And your mom's name was?
Oh.
Your mother?
Aurora Marie Rix.
Okay. And where did you live at that time?
623 North Montfort Avenue, right off of Moneyman Street.
Okay, and you grew up your whole childhood in that house?
I grew up in that neighborhood until I was 17.
Okay.
And my father bought a house at 224 Hopkins Road, Rogers Forge.
Rogers Forge. Was that a move up?
They all made fun of my father. They thought he was moving out in a uppity area.
Right.
Because there was Andersley and Stoney. My father said, no, it's just a row house, a group house.
Right.
And like a row house.
Right.
He said, but this neighborhood, meaning Montfort Avenue, was starting to go down.
Right.
And he thought we ought to make a change for the betterment of me.
And you were 17. And then you went to where did you go to grade school?
Seton High School. I went to St. Elizabeth's.
Okay.
At Kenwood Avenue and Baltimore Street.
And you went all the way through St. Elizabeth's, right? You went all the way through grade school at St. Elizabeth's. And then you went to Seton.
I went to Seton, won 4 years there.
Which is now Seton Keogh now. All right, they've changed.
Yeah.
Seton and Keogh merged together.
They closed the school up.
Now were you an only child? Now did you? So you didn't have brothers and sisters, but did your father have brothers and sisters? Did you have aunts and uncles on your father's side?
My father had a sister and a brother, and deceased. He had 2 brothers who had passed on.
Tell me the names of all. You know the names of all those?
Only the ones who were living.
Okay.
Her name was Mary Anna Sattler.
Okay.
Her marriage name. And his brother was Louis Rix. I don't know his middle name.
Do you have any memories of them from when you were a child?
We went to see my aunt when we lived in Rogers Forge. My father went back once a week on Saturday and to visit his sister. And I went with him. And my father would either take her out or pay a visit in the house, in the home.
Okay, well, so he was very faithful in staying in touch with your aunt.
And then on Sunday morning, my father, after 9 o'clock Mass, visited his brother, who lived at 529 North Kenwood Avenue, which was in St. Elizabeth's Parish.
Right.
And he paid him a visit every Sunday morning after 9 o'clock Mass.
So your father was very faithful to his family, and what about his sister? What was her name?
Mary Anna.
And
her last name was Sattler.
And
they were members of St. Michael's Parish down on Lombard and Wolf Street.
Okay, you remember these neighborhoods very, very, very well. You remember these addresses, don't you?
I was brought up in a what you call a family environment on both sides.
Right. Now,
my mother was just as close to her family as.
Tell me about that. Tell us about that.
Well, my mother, her mother died when she was about, say, 20 19.
So you didn't know your grandmother on that side? Okay.
I knew none of my grandmothers.
Really? Oh, how about grandfathers?
I knew my mother's father.
Okay.
His name was Albert Taylor.
Okay.
And he's a bricklayer.
Huh.
And my mother was just as close to her family as my father was to his family. My mother, remember, my mother was not Catholic.
Okay. Was that, no, let me ask you about that. Was that a very unusual thing for your father? I mean, in the culture at that time?
That was unusual in my father's family.
I see.
But they never objected to it.
Okay. Okay.
And
did she ever convert?
my mother was prompted 1, 2, 3 times about converting to Catholicism. And she says, I don't see their beliefs and I will not do it.
Okay. When you say she was prompted, what do you mean? You mean she was encouraged by when you say she was prompted, is that what you just said? That she was prompted to?
She was prompted to convert
right.
to Catholicism.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by she was prompted to convert?
Oh, just mentioned in general.
Oh, okay. So there was conversation about it. And, okay.
Conversation. And she said, I don't see their beliefs. And she says, I will not do it.
Go back to, can we go back to her father for a minute? Because we're going backwards in time now. Her dad, is that who you said was a bricklayer? Tell me about whatever memories you have about your grandfather on your mother's side.
Well, that grandfather didn't visit us but once a week on Saturday night.
Really? So that it sounds like a lot of these visits and these family gatherings were very regular. On Sundays you did this, on Saturdays you did that. That doesn't quite happen in our culture today very much.
My grandfather didn't. Well, he had to work during the week.
Right.
I mean, I guess when he was tired from laying brick all day long. And down on Charles Street and University.
Right.
I guess the house, the apartment house is still there. I don't know, because I don't go out.
Right. But
there's right there, across from right around opposite Hopkins University grounds, I guess that's what I want to say. It's a apartment house that was built, and it's formation, the lot of the ground. The apartment house was wide in the back, but it came into somewhat like a slight triangle formation at the front. And my grandfather laid brick for that apartment house.
Really?
And he also, the last building he ever laid brick for was, at that time, back in, say, I guess around 28, maybe 30, I don't know, somewhere around in that area.
Right.
He laid brick on what they call that bank at Light and Baltimore, and it was called the Baltimore Trust.
Was that the building that was later on the Bank of Baltimore? Was the big pillars out front?
No, okay. The Bank of Baltimore was a block away.
Okay, go back to that apartment house that was the triangle thing you talked about. What do you remember the address of that? Where was that?
No, I know.
Well, what was it near? You said
it was opposite Johns Hopkins University grounds.
Okay.
And it was right on the corner of University Parkway and Charles Street.
Gotcha. Okay, and that apartment. I know the building you're talking about. It was just south of Loyola College, just below Loyola College.
Yeah.
Let me switch for just a second. Please tell me about your husband. Let's talk about Mr. Preston.
Who, my husband?
How did you meet him?
Oh. Oh, we were in a wedding.
Oh, whose wedding?
A girlfriend from high school
Okay.
at St. Wenceslas.
Really? At St. Wenceslas?
At it was what, Ashland Avenue and College
Yes,
Avenue,
I think so.
I
Yes.
think. And I don't know.
What happened? What did he first say to you? What's your first memory?
I mean, after the wedding and then this friend of mine, Gladys, our dresser, her grandfather had a shore down. Where would you say that location is, Jerry?
Bird River?
Where Robo lived.
Bird River.
Bird River, that's right.
Okay.
Off Ebenezer Road.
Right.
Bird River Beach Road.
And
River Road.
once she was able to drive, Gladys, she would go down and visit her grandfather who was living down at the Shore House.
Right.
And one Sunday she said, Mildred, why don't you ride down and see where my grandfather lives?
Right.
I said, I'll ask my father and mother if I can go.
Right.
And they said, yeah, I could go. So I went with her. And while we were visiting her grandfather at Bird River, my husband's mother's house was a house behind the grandfather's
Right.
house. And she said, I'm going up and see the Prestons. I'll come down here and I'll give them a visit.
Right.
And so I followed along. I didn't know.
Right.
So when we got up there, here's a used car and a young man under the hood. I didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
And his younger brother. They were fixing the motor on this used car.
Right.
And it was my husband. And she introduced me to him, but didn't mean nothing to me. So eventually, throughout the winter, she had a party at her house.
Right.
And she invited him, and she invited me.
This was Gladys put this together, right? Good old Gladys.
And from then on, I went out with him now and then.
Now, how did he ask you out? Where's the first place you went?
Oh, I don't remember that.
You remember. Come on. Where did you first go with him?
I don't remember. Oh, I guess I know what we did. On Sunday night, he and I and Gladys, who was married then,
Right.
her husband, the two of them, and us.
Right.
We went bowling every Sunday night.
Bowling.
Yeah.
Were you a good bowler?
No.
Was Mr. Preston? How about Mr. Preston? Was he a good bowler?
I don't think he bowled.
Okay, wait a minute. So you went bowling every Sunday night, but he didn't
on
bowl?
himself,
Well, he was
but
probably there to
I
see
don't-
you then, huh?
I don't think he bowled, other than on a Sunday night.
Okay. All right. So you guys had fun on Sunday
And
nights.
we
You
used to go to the bowling alley. It was on Harford Road and Greenmount Avenue, right on the corner.
right? What was it called?
Oh, I don't remember that.
What did they have to eat there at the bowling alley?
I
Did you
really
ever eat
couldn't
there?
tell you.
Was there beer there? Did you guys drink beer at that bowling alley?
No, I never drank beer. I
Okay.
just drank a soda. That was all.
Okay, so you went bowling.
And I
on-
don't think we paid. I didn't pay it. The two men, they paid 25 cents a game
Good. Way to go.
to bowl.
25 cents a game, and this
We
is
used to bowl 3 games, and that was it.
right. Couldn't afford any more than that.
It's a lot of bowling.
It is. Well, that's
That was
enough.
$1.
And then, now, you did? How did you get there? Did you walk there? It was is in your neighborhood?
Well, my husband had a used car.
Oh, that's right. He was fixing the
Now,
car when you
let
met
me
him.
tell you about him.
Yeah. Tell me about him.
Well, see, he went to Polytechnic for 1 year, and
Right.
the depression came,
Ooh. Yeah.
and his mother and father struck it hard, and they had to move down to this shore home at that time.
Right.
And they took him out of school
Right.
to go out and work.
And how old
Okay.
was he then?
Huh?
How old was he?
In the first year of high school.
Okay.
Which would be about, what,
14, 15.
14, 15?
Right.
So,
So he had to work. Where did he do? Where did he
He
work?
just wanted anywhere he could find a job.
Okay.
And he always said he found jobs. I don't remember that. But he remembers running an electric car years ago, many, many years ago, to haul things. I guess that's what it was. I don't know.
You talking about a piece of equipment like machinery?
My husband found his job like that. He ran an electric car.
When you say electric car,
the man asked him if he knew how to run the electric car. He didn't know how to run an electric car. He said, "Yeah, I know all about them."
Right.
So the man evidently showed him, or what, I don't know.
All right, now listen, I got to ask you another question. Now, why you went bowling with this guy on Sunday nights? What's Gladys's last name?
Her marriage name was Cobb, Kolb.
Okay, good. Gladys is responsible for a lot of this. So.
Oh yeah, Gladys. I tell you, Gladys was she was a whiz, believe me.
Whatever happened to Gladys?
She finally moved out to Register Avenue off of York Road,
Okay.
and eventually got married the second time.
Oh, second time.
She was divorced from the first one.
From Mr. Cobb. Okay. All right. Well, let's move along to what was it that attracted you to this Preston guy? What did you like about him?
Oh, don't ask me.
Well, who should I ask?
I couldn't. I don't know.
No, what little things did you like about him? There must have been something that attracted you to him. Was he funny? Was he gentle? Was he a gentleman?
He wasn't gentle by no means.
No. He cared about you.
I guess he did. I don't know.
Tell me, when did he ask you to marry him?
March the 2nd,
March the 2nd.
1940.
March the 2nd, 1940. You remember this date quite well, like you remember a lot of addresses. What happened that day? What did he say?
Gee, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? You remember the date it happened, but you don't remember what he said? Come on.
I don't remember. I'll tell you the truth.
Did he go down on one knee?
No.
He asked you to marry him on March 2nd of 1940.
Somewhere around 1940.
When did you get married? What year?
42.
Okay. Now the war was going on at this time. Was he in the service?
That's why I guess more or less got married.
Right.
He was on deferment
Right.
because he worked at Western Electric.
Okay.
And they always got 6 months deferment. 6 months deferment.
Because their business was helping the war effort, right? I assume. Right.
Government work.
Right. Okay, so Western Electric. Now, okay, I got to move along here a little bit. When did your tell me about your oldest child. Tell me about your children. Just describe your 4 children.
Oh, when I got married, I didn't. I was an only child.
Right.
And I lived on Hopkins Road. And when I got married, my father said, "The war's going on. You don't know when you're going to get deferred, so you might as well stay here." So I lived with my mother and father for 2 years after I got married.
You and Mr. Preston lived at your parents' house for 2 years. Okay, and he never went into the service because he had this deferment for Western Electric, right?
He got a deferment, and when Mary Charlene was born, that week he got a notice from the draft to report. And he went to the Western Electric, and they filed another deferment, and within a short time, they, what do you call it?
Approved that?
They granted it.
Right. Okay, so Mary Charlene was the first, and she was born when?
March the 2nd.
Well, she was born on March the 2nd? Which was the anniversary of your getting engaged. Okay, and then then your next child was Gerald.
Jerry was born 3 years after. It's June the 1st.
Okay, and then who's next?
And then came Henry about 4 years later.
And by this time you were living where? Murdoch Road?
Well, by that time we had moved from my mother's, and Mr. Preston bought a house on Murdoch Road. And that's where we were living.
And then your last child?
Nita, she was born while we were living on Murdoch Road. But when she was 2 years old, we moved here because we had to get a room for my father.
All right, tell me about your father. Your father lived with you, and why?
Lived with me?
He lived here with you.
My father. Well, when my mother died, Mr. Preston and my father talked it over, because my mother's house was bigger than mine on Murdoch Road. And Mr. Preston said, "We don't want to make any more bedrooms in your house on Hopkins Road.
Right.
We better go out and buy a bigger house." Because my father did not want to go in a nursing home.
Right.
And he was willing, I was willing to bring my father with us and live in a bigger house. And so we sold the house on Hopkins Road and our house on Murdoch Road to pay for this house.
For this house. And so your father lived here with you
5 years.
For 5 years. And how would you describe your husband's, Mr. Preston's, arrangement of all that? And his deal?
He was agreeable. He thought it was great.
He was loving and accepting of your father, and
he accepted my father in the health that he was, and all the help that he needed.
Right. On September 25th of this year, 2015, you will be
95.
95, which is how far away? Just less
2
2 months.
Just about 2 months.
Right.